Hey, welcome. Today we're going to talk about something that's super relevant whether you're thinking about starting a family or, well, making sure you don't. We're going to break down the science of how it all works, conception and contraception, in a really simple, clear way. Okay, let's just dive right in.
So let's get straight to the big question. How can you actually tell if sperm has entered the body after intercourse? It's a really common thing to wonder about, and the answer isn't just one thing. It's kind of twofold. There are the immediate physical signs, and then there's the whole biological process that kicks off in the hours and days that follow.
So here's our game plan. First, we'll hit the immediate signs. Then, we're going to trace the sperm's incredible journey inside the body. After that, we'll dive into the super important fertile window, look for the very first clues of a potential pregnancy, and finally, we'll talk about your next steps and options no matter what your goal is.
All right, first up, what can you look for right after intercourse? Turns out there are a couple of very direct physical indicators that ejaculation has happened inside the body.
Okay, so the two most immediate physical signs, they're actually pretty straightforward. You might notice some fluid leakage afterwards, or maybe a distinct sticky feeling. They're simple for sure, but they are the most direct indicators you have. But, that leakage part brings up a really common concern.
Yeah, there's this widespread worry that if fluid comes out, then maybe not enough stayed in for anything to happen. But that's just a myth. It is totally normal for most of the fluid to come back out. The crucial thing to get is that the strongest, healthiest sperm are already on their way. The body only needed a tiny fraction of the total to get the process started.
So once the sperm is inside, what happens next? Well, this is where a pretty incredible race against time begins. And honestly, the odds are just staggering.
This timeline is, wow, it's pretty amazing. Millions of sperms start this race, but only the strongest few hundred even get close to the egg. And get this, the fastest swimmers can make that journey in just 15 to 45 minutes. But what's truly a game changer is their endurance. They can actually survive inside the body for up to 5 days, just waiting for an egg to be released. That 5-day survival window changes everything.
And that 5-day survival window, it leads us directly into the most critical factor in all of this, the fertile window. When it comes to conception, timing isn't just important, it is literally everything.
Just take a look at this. It really is all about that window. If you're outside of it, the chances of conception are practically zero. But during that peak time, right around ovulation, the probability just shoots way up. And notice those days leading into it are also important, which, you guessed it, brings us right back to those marathon swimming sperm. So when exactly is this fertile window? In a typical cycle, you're looking at the period roughly between day 10 and day 20. And you start counting from day 1, which is the first day of your period. This is the time when your body is gearing up for and then actually doing ovulation, the release of an egg.
Okay, so this brings up a really important question. What happens if sperm is already there a few days before the egg is even released? Does that even matter?
Oh, it absolutely matters. This is where that 5-day survival skill becomes so critical, because sperm can hang around. Intercourse on, say, day 11 of your cycle could easily lead to a pregnancy if you ovulate on day 14 or 15. The sperm are already there at the finish line, just waiting for the egg to show up.
Okay, so let's say the timing was right and fertilization happened. What are the earliest little clues your body might give you that you're pregnant, maybe even before you've missed a period?
Well, your body can start sending some surprisingly subtle signals pretty early on. One of the very first might be some light spotting, which is called implantation bleeding, and it can happen about a week before your period is even due. You might also notice things like your breasts feeling unusually tender, waves of nausea, or even sudden changes, like your favorite food tasting weird or your sense of smell going into overdrive.
But here's the thing, while all those are potential clues, they can also be caused by a million other things. The single most reliable sign of a potential pregnancy is, and has always been, a missed period. If your period is late, that's the moment to really start paying attention.
So that brings us to our final section. What do you do with all this information? Whether you're hoping for a pregnancy or not, there are clear and simple next steps you can take to get a real answer.
If your period is missed and you think you might be pregnant, the process is really straightforward. First off, it's a good idea to wait just a couple of days to be sure it's truly late. Then, a home pregnancy test is going to give you a clear and very reliable result.
Now let's flip the script for a second and talk to those of you who are not looking to become pregnant.
If you've had unprotected intercourse and you're worried about a potential pregnancy, it's really important to know that you have time-sensitive options. The main option here is what's known as emergency contraception. You've probably heard it called the morning after pill. It's a pill specifically designed to prevent pregnancy after unprotected sex has already happened. And this is probably the most important number to remember: 72 hours. Emergency contraception has to be taken within 3 days of intercourse to be effective. The clock is really ticking, and the sooner you take it, the higher the chance it's going to work.
Of course, being proactive is always the best way to go, right? Barrier methods, like condoms, are highly reliable when you use them correctly, and while some people rely on the withdrawal or pull-out method, it's just crucial to understand that it is way less reliable and it carries a real risk of failure.
So, we've covered the immediate signs, the incredible science of conception, and the options for both planning a family and preventing pregnancy. The real takeaway here is that understanding how all this works, it gives you control. And that leaves us with one final thought. Now that you know the science, how are you going to use this knowledge to take charge of your own reproductive health?